and welcome, friends of Sudoku, to an expert puzzle by LPEs. Today is March 1st, 2024, and this is today's version of the expert puzzle. I did record one solve yesterday, but I didn't publish it. It will be published on one of those days when I'm otherwise occupied and can't upload anything. So for this one, I thought we should try to solve it together in a more, I would almost say, interactive way. First of all, let me suggest a 1 for box 9. We number the boxes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So this is a 9th box. And I'm sure you can figure out where the 1 must go because we have a couple of 1s blocking across. So a 1 must go here. Now, can you figure out a 1 for box 4? Box 4 is very empty, isn't it? That requires a little bit of logic, but it's not that hard, I think. The way I go about it is I look at this 1 blocking across. This 1 blocks up. So I know that a 1 for this row 4, must go either here or here. And this ghost 1, as it were, blocks across. We have a 1 blocking down and another 1 blocking up. So this is a 1. Now let's find a 5 for box number 1. That's right. There's 5 blocks here and here. So this must be a 5. And now I would personally make a mental note of what is going to go in these 2 squares. It's not that hard. It must be a 4 and a 6. We also have a 4 and a 6 blocking here, but that is beside the point. But what is now fairly obvious is that since we have an 8 blocking here and an 8 blocking here, that these 2 squares can be 8s. We can also find a 2 for column 1. It's clear that a 2 blocks here, so in theory a 2 could go in any of these 3 squares, but not if we look more closely. This 2 blocks across here, so one of these must be a 2. So we got all of these squares covered in box 7 by 2s, and we have this 2 blocking down. So a 2 for box 7, and therefore column 1 must go here. Now we know what these 3 numbers must be because these are 4 and 6. And these therefore must be a 3, 8, and 7. And since we have a 7 blocking down here, we know that one of these must be a 7. We also have a 7 blocking here. So we know that this is a 7. And here now we're looking for what? That's right, a 3 and a 5. Easy enough because the 5 blocks here, therefore this is a 5 and this is a 3. We know that a 9 must go either here or here because of these 9 blocking these 6 squares, right? So 9 goes here or here, therefore we will end up with a 9 either here, here, or here. It's also becoming more clear that a 3 must go either here or here because we know that the 3 goes in one of these 3 squares. So it can't go here. We also have a 3 blocking up here and down here. So we know that one of these is a 3. So since these squares can't be 3s, the only 2 available squares for a 3 are these 2. Just something to keep in mind, and this is how I work. I gather little bits of information and then I just put it all together. We can find a 5 for box 6. And here's how we go about that. This 5 blocks up, this 5 blocks across. One of these must be a 5 blocking down. We had this 5 blocking up. Now we have this 5 blocking over. So 5 must go here. And that gives us a 5 and a 9 for column 3. Remember how one of these must be a 9? One of these must also be a 5, because we have 5 and 9 blocking here, and we have 5 and 9 blocking here. Since now this 5 blocks across, we know that this must be the 9, and this must be the 5. Now we know what these two must be. Since they're not 5 and 9 anymore, they must be a 4 and a 6. And since they are a 4 and a 6, these must be a 7 and an 8. And therefore, these must be a 2, 4, and a 6. I'm also vaguely aware that since these are 4 and 6, I'll be looking for 4 and 6 in these 6 empty squares. But that's way too early. It's just something that I will try to keep in mind. I'm also remembering that we need a 1 here or here, and we need a 1 here or here for the last 2 ones of the puzzle. A 7 will have to go either here or here. Why not here, you ask? Well, remember that these must be a 7 or an 8 blocking up here. So 7 here or here, because the 7 blocks all of these 3 squares. That might come in handy. I want to have another look at row 5. I think I've spotted something that is not trivial, not at all, but it is a triple. And again, for me at least, it starts with a silent count. We need to find 2, 3, 6, 8, 9. We have an 8 here, and we have a 6 here, and we have a 3 here. So this is a 2 or a 9. We have a 3, 8 here, so this is a 2, 6 or a 9. Now look at this square. It must be a 2 or a 6. We need a 2, 4, or a 6 to complete these 3 squares, 4 blocks over. So we have a 2, 6 here, and we have a 2, 6, and a 9 in these squares here. So this is a triple. And that leaves these 2 squares, and they must be a 3 and an 8. And that has a very important ramification. The ramification being that since this is a 3 or an 8, and we have a 9 blocking here, it follows that a 9 must go in one of these 2 squares. We also have 1s blocking over. So 1 and 9 must go in these 2 squares. And that might be important. And it's important because now this, of course, still can't be a 4. So a 4 must go here, 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 blocking across. This 4 blocks across. One of these had to be a 4. Now the 4 must go here. And we have 2 and 6 here. So let's go back to row 4 now. These must be 1 and 9. So now we need to account for 3 more numbers, and they can't be 1 and 9 anymore. There must be a 3, 6, and a 7. And since a 6 must go here or here, and therefore can't go here, 6 also can't go here or here because they are 1 and 9, and a 6 can't go here. It follows that a 6 must go here. Now we can find a 6 for column 8, because 2 6s block up, leaving a clear 6 here. Back to the 1, 9, and the remaining 3 and 7 that must go in these squares. And this can both be a 3 and a 7, but this can't because the 3 blocks up. So this is where the 7 goes, this is where the 3 goes. 3 now blocks up and down, so we have a 3 here, and therefore here, of course. We know that these now must be a 9 and a 2. I'm not sure I can solve that yet, but I know that these can't be 9 and 2. They must be a 6 and an 8. We know that one of these had to be a 6. 6 could never go here. So this is now the 6 and this is now the 8. And from that follows that we have a 2 here and we have a 7 here. One 9 here, therefore a 4, 6 and an 8 here. Again, I can't do anything about that yet, but we're making good progress. Can you find a single, a so-called single in box 8 now? That's right, we have a 3 blocking across and a 3 blocking down, so we have a 3 here. And that gives us, of course, a 3 now for column 6, because we have 2 3s blocking up, and we have a 3 blocking across and across. So here's the 3. Now we have a 1 for row 2. See, a 1 blocks here and here, and a 1 blocks here. We have a 1 here. Talking about the 4s in this row here, now we are limiting the possibilities to these 2 squares. We also need to find a 2 and a 7 for the same row. 2 and a 7 block here, so it follows that this has got to be a 4 and these must be a 2 and a 7. The 7 blocks up, so the 2 must go here and the 7 must go here. This 2 blocks down, so we have a 2 here and a 9 here. This 2 blocks down, this blocks over, a 2 must go here. And since these 2 must be a 9 and a 7, it is clear that this has got to be an 8. We remember that these were 7, 8, right? Now the 8 blocks over, so the 8 goes to the bottom and the 7 must go here. This 7 blocks across, we now have a 7 here and we have a 9 here. 9 blocks across, 9 goes here or here along with a 9 here or here. Therefore, we are going to have a 9 either here or here. Still a 4, 6 here, also a 4 or a 6 here, except here the 4 blocks down. So the 6 goes here, 4 here, 6 here. So along with a 9 here, we have a 4. Let's see if we can do any more damage up here in block 3. We need to find for these 2 squares an 8 and a 9. No can do. And a 4 and a 5 for these 2. No can do. So we need to set the hook somewhere else. For example, a 7. We can find a 7 for this position here because of these 2 7s blocking up and this 7 blocking across. And that helps. We can also find a 2 for row 3 because 2 2s block up and this 2 blocks across. Here's a 2. We are still no closer to the 5s in the top chute, but we are getting closer to the solution. Remember how these are 1 and 9? The 1 blocks down, so we have a 9 here and we have a 1 here. This 9 forces a 4 to go here, while the 9 must go here. This 4 blocks here, this 4 blocks here, a 4 must go here. Now an 8 and a 6 for these squares, easy. 6 blocks up, giving me an 8 here and a 6 here. This 6 blocks up, so does this. Here's a 6. And now we can finally solve the 4 and the 6 we had going on here since the beginning. This 4 blocks across here, this 4 blocks up here. We have a 4 here, and therefore a 5 here. And finally, we can solve the 5s. The 5 blocks here and the 5 blocks here. So here's a 5, and the last number here has got to be a 9. That gives us a 9 here and an 8 here. The last number today is an 8, and it must go here. Nice puzzle from LPEs. Not the easiest one, I have to admit, but totally manageable, I think. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.